first?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, because
We'll look at burgers.
most of us
first.
haven't had lunch yet.
Okay. So burgers is available on the site already. Okay, and it's really simple. What it is, it's a bunch of hamburgers. Okay. And so there are all these cool animated hamburgers that you can just add and configure. Okay, so there's about 50 different styles. I have most of the styles listed here. Pretty much what's not listed here is like the opposite effect of these. So like the arrows going in different directions, and you know, the animation being the opposite direction and stuff like that, right? So this is a bulk of what you have. So basically take this and double it. For the mirror versions of whatever's here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, speed controls on those?
I'm sorry?
Do you have like speed controls on those animations? Like you can slow it down or speed them up?
I have not added that. I might add that for the SVG one, and I might add it eventually for the burger. It's just there's a lot of intricacies where so there's two different stacks. Okay, there's two different technologies. These use basically like straight CSS with some HTML elements. These ones down here are all done with SVGs. Okay. The timing on this, on some of these, isn't like a single time. Like some things are delayed, and then there's other things coming in. So there's a lot of intricacies with the timing for some of these, especially these arrow ones, are slightly different. So I haven't added timing controls yet, but it's something I definitely would like to do.
Cool beans.
Okay. Man, these guys are relentless. Keep asking them to control my screen. Like who's gonna? Yeah, I'm gonna allow you to control my screen. Yeah. Okay. So that is burger. I mean, it's really, they're super simple stacks. Okay, we'll look at them. Let's look at them really quick here. So, like I said, there are two different burger stacks. The first one is, and the settings are very similar, but because there's different technologies that accomplish them, they're slightly different. Okay. So the burger setup, you can choose one of 15 or 20 different, styles. You obviously see all of them there. I just realized something that I needed to do in the demo. I need to put in the name of this so that you can kind of use it as a key to know what you want. Totally forgot to do that. Yeah. So then you can do sizing. So you can do, if I want this to be 80 pixels or, 90 pixels and whatever, and change the size to, I don't know, 8 or something like that. That's the spacing. Okay. Let's go back to something smaller. You can change the padding, which is just padding around it. We have the spacing here, so you can go close or far or whatever. You can change the color, obviously, and there's different colors between the default state and the active state. You can also preview the default and active states as well. Okay. And then you can do the alignment, obviously. So left, middle, right. And then inherit is just like if you're using let's say foundation styles or something like that, that allows you to inherit the alignment from foundation or whatever. Okay. Oh, Willie wants back in. Okay, we lost Willie. This guy Adolf keeps trying to get back in. Should I roll the dice and let him in, guys?
Would you like me to check the live stream chat to see if he's in there?
I don't know if he is. Maybe. Yeah. He keeps coming and trying to keep coming back in. So, yeah. Let's go for it. Adolf, don't let me down. Okay.
Well, World War IV.
Okay. So next up is the SVGs. Very similar controls. So you have sizing. The stroke is kind of like the width of the the little lines, the individual lines, right? And then you have same color for default and active. So you can have 2 different colors. Okay. And then hover opacity. Oh, I think the other one had hover opacity as well, right? Yeah. So, you know, if you want to change the opacity on hover, it'll do that. Now integrating, like, the burger itself is just a button, right? So all it is just a button. That's all it does. Okay. It does this fancy animation. The SVG animations are definitely a lot fancier, right? I think my favorite one is actually this curved arrow. Super clever, right? So the SVG animation ones are definitely, you know, more elaborate and interesting. So how can we use these? Okay. So here's an example with top bar. Okay. Where you know in top bar, the mobile menu can go down and you could have obviously a mobile menu here. So as you see here, all I did was you just basically put the burger inside of top bar. Okay. And you can use that to then open and close your title bar. So basically wherever you would use the normal hamburger stack, okay, that's where you would use this burger stack instead. Now, if you wanted to use it to launch things like light boxes or off canvas or things like that, you can do that as well. And basically all you need to do is inside Foundation 6, okay, there is a stack called the launcher stack. Okay. And essentially the launcher stack allows you to do all of those actions, right? So you can open up a drop down, you can open up a light box, you can open up an off canvas, and you can chuck a burger in there. Okay. Now, with that said, I was actually talking to Chris about this earlier today. He did this, right? He threw it in a launcher stack and he opened up a light box. And here, well, let's see what happens. Let's build it out. Okay. Fun. Someone has got some background noise here. You guys hear the background noise as well?
I hear like a static.
Oh, got it. Erwin. Yeah, had static. Erwin, sorry, I muted you for now.
Yeah, there was an airplane.
Okay, got it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay, let's go ahead and launch. Let's get to the templates. Light box. Let's just open up a light box. Okay. Now, instead of launching it from a button, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to use a launcher stack. So we do launcher and we open up a light box and let's match the IDs, lightbox 1, cool. And then let's go ahead and get our burger. Okay. Or let's get the SVG one, why not? Okay, so we got SVG. All right. And so now when I click on this burger, it's going to launch a light box. Okay. Works. All right. Here, let's go to desktop mode. Now, the thing here is when we close that light box, this doesn't, if you notice, I mean, whenever I click it, it does launch the light box, but it doesn't know whether or not you closed the light box or not. That's because it's just a button, and it kind of works best in interfaces that you would have to click it itself to you know, basically you'd have to click it in order to close it, right? I had to remove somebody, sorry. Does that make sense to everybody? I don't know, maybe eventually I could try to hack some sort of solution for this, but I just wanted to be upfront. I'm not sure this is the best interface for a burger. right? At that point, I mean, I would just use a normal hamburger that doesn't animate on click, right? I need to. Does that make sense, everybody?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
cool. Sorry, man, I am just getting barraged by these people today. You're not seeing it, but man, I'm getting like Zoom is like, this person's trying to do this. This person's trying to do that. It's crazy. I think we're down to a group set of people because I recognize everybody's name here. So I think we're good.
I'm assuming Adolf was a bad Adolf.
Yes. Yes, he is.
Joe, you
And
can
so-
remove. There's a guy there that's duplicating names, unmuted. The William Murphy. You can.
Yep.
You can kick him out.
So funny enough, I was just doing that.
There's a guy named
I'm not
Joshua.
letting anyone in.
You may
If you guys
wanna
are
let
in,
it-
you're in.
kick
Thank
him
you very
out.
much.
You still got the wrong one. You kicked the wrong one out. It was the. He keeps switching his
Hang
name.
on.
It's now
Oh,
it's unmuted, and it's right now it's Sean's. Got him.
got it.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Boom. That guy was clever. Or he tried to
Yeah.
be clever.
You should see his private messages to me.
Oh,
Unbelievable.
really?
Oh, dude.
Oh, man. I'm sorry about
Unbelievable.
that.
Yeah.
Josh, take a screenshot, Josh. Send it the
He loves you,
I want to
Josh.
see. Yeah.
I got it.
Thank you.
All right. I'm not letting anyone new in. Okay. So other use cases, let's say you wanted to integrate Burger with some other non-Foundation 6 stack. Okay, how would you do that? Most things that you would integrate with kind of integrate through links. Okay. And I didn't add any explicit settings into the Burger stacks on purpose because I wanted to see how the use cases were going to evolve and what we needed before I just started adding features that I thought we might need in the future. So this really is kind of a generic, it is just a button, right? And that works okay, I think, in Foundation 6, because we have a lot of, I've made that extensible so you can launch it from things from almost anything, right? But let's say, for example, you had another stack. I don't have one off the top of my head to know what you would use, but let's say, for example, it integrates with a link. Like it requires that you add some sort of, a lot of things do have classes. So I did have a class here. So you can add a class to this. But some things might require like some data attributes or things of that nature. So the best way to integrate that is I would just use my free link stack. Okay. It is free, and then just drop the Burger into that. And at that point, you can then add, whatever you need into here. You can add the data attributes, you can add a URL, you can add all kinds of stuff. And that's kind of like the most generic way to integrate with things. In the future, I'm not against adding a link setting directly into the Burger stack, but I just wanted to see where things were going to go and see what requirements we needed for it. And then I'll enhance it and make it better, in terms of integrating with other things in the future. So if you're using the Burger stack and you're like, hey, you know what, I want this to work better with this particular stack. Can we help that, or make that happen? Totally. Like, for example, if the Lightbox situation, I know a lot of people are going to want to use hamburgers to open up a Lightbox, but it is kind of tricky. Like, how do I know the particular Lightbox that you closed is the one that we're tracking? That's a tricky one. I did make some notes to see if I can come up with something in the future, but no promises on that one. That one is definitely going to be maybe an edge case that might not be possible. But like I said earlier, I'm not sure it really makes sense to have an animated Burger for that because the overlay kind of opens up anyway. But for things like off canvas, top bar, even drop downs, I think are a valid use case for this too. It could be. So All right. Any questions on Burger and things you'd like me to test out for you guys?
I think it's pretty straightforward. I
Yeah,
mean, it's cool. I have it. It's nice.
Yep.
Typical was muted. Oh, I
say
was
that
asking
again?
you. No, I was asking you a question. And I'm talking to myself.
Oh,
But with
cool.
when you showed that in the link, you know, in the burger, you said you've got the SVGs.
Mhm.
You could. I was thinking like you could use that as a menu if you had different SVGs. So couldn't you really, as a link to? You could have like an animated SVG to a link.
Yep.
And build out a menu system or something like that. Just off the top of my head.
Yeah. And you could, I mean, you could add like, I don't know if adding this into a menu would make sense, but I mean, you could potentially. So like the Foundation 6 menu stacks have a menu drop zone component, which allows you to add whatever you want into the menu. And at that point, you could add the burger stack in there. Yeah, I'm not sure a valid use case for that, but it's possible. Right.
No, it's just like while I was watching you, I was thinking about it.
Sure. Yep. So anyway, sorry for all the interruptions during that demo, but I think we should be golden for the rest of this live stream. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so that's Burger. Super simple. It is what it says on the tin, right? It's a burger that lets you that does fancy animations and style things. Now let's go into something that's a little more interesting. I think it's more interesting. It's something I've wanted for years, and it's the new traffic control stack. Okay. So what is traffic control? Okay. So traffic control is here, we'll go to the product page really quick. And I do have to say right now, traffic control does require PHP 8. And funny enough, my web server doesn't have PHP 8 installed. I'm still running 7.4. Yeah, so the demos right now don't work on Weaverspace. I'm working on a workaround. To be honest, probably what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to ship an update to traffic control that supports PHP 7.4, because in order to upgrade to PHP 8 on my server, I actually need to upgrade the entire operating system of my server. And I really don't want to do that right now. So, so yeah, I'll probably downgrade to PHP 7.4 for this stack. We'll still have all the same features. I pretty much did PHP 8 requirement because I wanted to test out some new syntax sugar and some stuff for PHP 8, but it's nothing that really is a requirement for me at all. Okay, so what is traffic control? It's a smart URL routing tool that allows you to dynamically create new URLs and automatically either redirect those URLs to different URLs or import pages or do A/B tests and all kinds of interesting stuff. What does all that mean? So, for example, if we looked at this demo here, let's go make this a little bit bigger so you can read this. Hopefully, assuming this demo worked, again, it doesn't work right now. Oh, Joe Biden's trying to get into my Zoom Hangout.
No way, it's Joe's nap time.
Yeah. So here at Weaverspace/traffic control test. Okay. Now this traffic control test, it actually doesn't exist on my server at all. Okay. But with traffic control, what it could do is if anyone visits this URL, it'll redirect. Okay. Same thing for this particular URL. When I fix this demo, what it will do is it'll download a sample CSV file. Okay. So basically this URL again doesn't exist on my server, but I've told traffic control to say, hey, if anyone hits this URL, go ahead and redirect it to this CSV file. Okay.
I just realized why you're getting visitors tonight.
Oh yeah, why is that?
Traffic control.
Nice. Let's show you. Let's show an example though. So if I go to my sandbox site, okay, and if I go to /tc-test, okay, and if we look here, this is my sandbox server. Oh, this is my sandbox project file, okay. And if you look, I set up a route inside traffic control. And if I set up the route of /tc test, okay, then I set in the destination. So it's going to redirect to the traffic control product page. Okay. So if we test that, we go over here and go to /sandbox.joework.net/tc test, hit enter. What that does is, again, that URL doesn't exist on my sandbox server, but with the smart routing and traffic control, it automatically routes it for us to where I want it to go. So what's the use case for this, right? It could be affiliate URLs. It could be special landing pages. It could be sales pages. It could be download links, like to a file. If you want like a nicer, URL to post somewhere to a file, okay? And then also, because the URL can never change that file, you can actually, in the background, send different files. Like if you want to update it to send a different file, the URL will never change, right? That you can give out the quote unquote pretty URL, right? But you can change all you want, the destination, okay, to a different file. Does that make sense? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you notice,
Joe, could that be an external link?
yes, like in my sandbox site, I'm linking to the Weaver space, right? So it could be an external domain. It doesn't matter. Okay. So like I was saying, you can use this for affiliate URLs, all kinds of stuff. So that you don't, like for example, I use affiliate URLs for various things. For example, yesterday I just gave an affiliate URL, I think, to Scott for a service called Fast Mail, right? And so, there's some services that I really like that I have affiliate URLs set up so that I don't need to remember my affiliate URL to Fast Mail. Essentially what it is, man, when I have Zoom running, VS Code is like dog slow. Okay. Okay, so if I go to joework.net/refer/fastmail, okay, something like that, right? So this is, I use this a lot. I have the same thing for like joework.net/refer/dreamhost/ a bunch of other things, right? And this URL is just a redirect to my crazy affiliate URL that there's no way I would ever remember it, right? But this, I can remember joework.net/refer/fastmail, right? So you can do exactly that with traffic control. Okay, great use case for traffic control there. Okay. Someone's got talking in the background. I'm just trying to...
Isn't there a control to mute all, Joe?
There, I don't think there is a mute all. Is there?
I don't know shit, okay? Get out. I'll leave.
Everyone's... Okay, we're muting everybody. Okay, everybody's muted. I don't know if there's a mute all, but whatever. Thank you. Okay, there's a TV or someone chatting in the background. So hopefully that makes sense for, I think it's a great use case for affiliate URLs. Now, a couple other things, because you could do something like that, like creating your own URLs with htaccess files. Totally possible, okay? But htaccess files are a little tricky to edit. The syntax is always wonky. And so just adding a new route, you can add as many routes as you want. Adding routes to this stack is just a lot easier, right? But this goes a lot farther. So what other features can we do with traffic control? We can expire our links. So you can expire based on the date, based on the number of visits, or both. Okay. So let's say, I have a sales page. Let's take, I don't know, Black Friday sale. Okay. Let's say I have a sale on Black Friday, and the day after the sale is over, I want the link to that sale to be gone, right? So that link will no longer work. Let's say you wanted to have a link to a download, and after 10 people downloaded it, you wanted to expire that link. That's exactly what you can do here now. Okay. And then also I added the feature to redirect to on expire as well. So once a link has expired, you can actually redirect them to a different page and saying, hey, sorry, this link is no longer there, or so on and so forth. Right. So I thought that was an interesting feature so that people just don't get a 404 on the link. If you don't turn this on, they'll just get redirected to the 404 page. Okay. But if you want a special message when the file expires, you can do that. Okay. So route expiration, I think, is a really great, very powerful thing that you really can't do with anything else. Okay. Next up, you'll notice that we can actually supply multiple destinations. Why would we want to do that? Okay. Let's go ahead and I'm going to add in multiple URLs in here. Okay, let's do, all right. So I added 3 URLs in here. So when we go to TC test, it's going to go either to traffic control, feeds, or foundation. Okay. And so what this means is when anyone visits this route, it's going to randomly choose one of those 3 destinations to redirect us to. Okay,
This is going to be awesome. This is going to be awesome for sending links to support.
All right, so I published that, and let's go to my sandbox /tc-test. Now, chances are Safari might have cached this. Oh, now it went to foundation. Okay. All right. So if I go back, if I go sandbox TC test, well, Safari cached that response. Let's go ahead and open up a new private window. Let's see if we're oops, I didn't want that. I want sandbox.jorgnet/tc-test. Oh. Here, let's do this. I'm going to open up an app called Paw. If anyone has setup, it's in setup, I think. And I owned it before setup, but it's a pretty cool little app. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to sandbox.jorgnet/tc-test. Okay. And think of this as a text web browser sort of thing. Okay. So if we see this, okay, when I go to this URL, this is what, from a browser's point of view, this is what my web server returns. And if you look here, it says it's going to redirect to this location. Okay, so traffic control. And if I go ahead and let's refresh again, look, it redirects to feeds. If I refresh again, it's going to redirect to foundation. Again, it goes back to traffic control, then foundation, then feeds. Just to show you that when I did it in Safari caches a lot of those, DNS or responses. So, for performance locally. But I just wanted to show you that it really is random, so that different requests will get sent to different URLs. Okay.
The URL in the browser, though, is the real page.
Yes. So this does do a redirect, right? So it actually does change the URL in the browser.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, if you didn't want to change the URL in the browser, we can do what's called an import. So instead of redirecting the page, we can actually do an import. Now, for imports, that requires that you can only import stuff from your existing website, right? So you can import pages and whatnot. And so at that point, instead of a URL, you would actually give it the path to the page that you want to import. Okay. So for example, here, I will import /index.php. Okay. Here, let's just do that. So when I go to TC test, okay, it's going to import the home page. Okay. Let's publish that. And you could do multiple destinations as well if you wanted to do A/B testing. You could do that. Okay. Oh shoot! Now it's got to publish freaking everything. but just show you what the homepage is so that when this finishes publishing, I mean, it's a pretty simple page. I think it's just the markdown stack. Yeah. So that's the homepage, just so that we know, and you'll see that the homepage is just nothing. Okay. And then when this finishes publishing, we'll go to the TC test and we should see this, but the URL will still say TC test.
One little change and RapidWeaver publishes everything. The
Yeah.
mystery continues.
Can you use it instead of embeds?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Can you use it instead of embedding?
Can I use it instead? I'm sorry.
Of embedding. I send you a question over the chat.
Oh, you sent me a question. Let me see. Oh, can it be used instead of embeds? This is why the site does not allow embedding. So this doesn't do so that you're talking about, can the imports do like an embed? Again, it requires that it be on the same website, right? So import requires that it be on the same website. It's basically
not import. I mean the redirect.
Oh, the redirect can be, yeah, you can do that.
Right. You can use this link. It's a beautiful beautiful piece of it's a great navigation inside the most beautiful church in Palermo.
Okay. So you wanted to now you wouldn't be able to.
I know the guy that has done this, but for some reason it does not allow embeddings.
Okay. So just by doing a redirect, it still wouldn't allow you to put this inside of an iframe.
Okay.
Because their security policy on their server still wouldn't allow it.
Voila.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, unfortunately, this isn't a workaround for that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Man, this is slow today. There it goes. Okay. So now let's get back to this. If I go to /tc-test, okay. Oh. Well, that was working yesterday. I must have broke that. Oops. I guess I'm shipping an update for that, at least that this afternoon. I will imagine that when I did that, you saw the homepage here. That is weird. I'm not sure why that's not working. Scott saw it work, I don't know, a day or two ago. He'll vouch for me, right, Scott?
Amazing. It works well.
I'll be honest, I think redirect is probably the most common use case for this. The import I think is an interesting feature. But there's a lot of caveats with that as well. But it does work. Well, it will work again. Not sure what I did there. Did I spell it right? Index.php. I wonder if it's that. Let's see. Is it going to like require you publish 5 million files again? Oh, just one file. Nice. Okay. Nope, same thing. Oh, there it goes. Oh, no. Oh, I set it to redirect. Import.
So Joe, question for you. If I'm updating my blog post URL, so right now it's blog/post/ the permalink, and I want to remove that post. So it's going to be.
Oh wait, no, that still did a redirect.
And I pull out, so I up one level. Is this a case use where I could use import to slide it over if someone went to the old URL? Would that work?
So that is
or is that a little tricky?
So that's where the tricky part comes with import. Okay, there are workarounds for it. Hold on, I'm gonna see if this works here. Ah, I did fix it.
There's probably a
Wonder if-
cache.
I bet you it was just a cache issue. Okay, so there we'll see that TC test is the URL, but it's displaying the home page. Okay, now I'll get into some of the caveats, and this is kind of technical, so sorry if this glazes some of you guys over. All right, so one of the implementation steps for traffic control is you have to publish it to this router.php file. Okay, I've hard coded it, so it has to be published to this location. In the folder is / the file name is router.php. Okay. I find I like this. I did this the first time I did this was with PWA in the manifest file where I require you publish this to a specific path. It just makes a lot of things. I can automate a lot more things when we have a defined set location for this. Okay. Now, this file exists at the root of your website. Okay. Now, let's say, for example, in this TC test, let's say I wanted to import. Now, the home page exists at the same level as the router.php page. Does that make sense? Let's look at that. Let's open up transmit. I'm really going to get into the weeds here, guys, but I'm sorry. But I want to answer this question for Josh. Okay, so here's my sandbox site. We'll see that I have index.php is right here, and the router.php is at the same level of the website. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, let's say I wanted to import /blog/post /index.php. Okay. Let's say I wanted to do that.
You need a
Now,
period, don't you?
this page is now at a different level of the website than router.php is. Okay. Why does that matter? Okay. Let's do an example. Let's go to, here's demo. Do I have a, okay. I'm going to import demo /index.php here. Okay. We'll see what's happening. Publish that. I don't even know what demo is. What is demo? Oh, perfect. Okay, so this is a demo of feeds. Okay, so I just published a route that when I go to TC test, it should import this file or this web page. Right? Let's see what happens. Damn cache. All right, there it is. Things didn't work too great, right? Why is that? Well, also I think, no, it's not a bug.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, interesting. This might be an issue with importing of feeds, actually. Let's find a simpler example. That's an interesting one. What's contact? Let's import. Let's see what contact is. What is that? Oh, that's like a huge, oh, that's like Davide's page or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, I got all kinds of crap on this server here. What's in a? You know what? I'm just going to create a super simple file, just for fun. All right. When in doubt, create your own scenario. All right. Import me. All right. We're going to add this to /import index.php. All right. So this is a simple test where it's just going to be a very simple web page. Oh, I should add something like some sort of styled component to this page really quick. I can't cancel this export or it's probably going to crash. So we'll let that go. Get rid of that. Don't need that. 18 files. Not too bad. Don't need this anymore.
Joe, all those settings can be used with TCMS as well?
Like, what do you mean by use it with TCMS? Like define your routes inside Total CMS?
Yeah, if I create a page and
not yet.
With
it's
with
something
some
I'm
basic
thinking
settings.
about the best way to implement that.
Okay, so if I would create something with an expiration date, then I have to republish it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Or there is the ability to, I added support for a CSV file where you can supply routes as a CSV file at the root of your web server. I definitely want to add Total CMS support. I'm trying to come up with the best way to do that. Okay. If we had Total CMS 2, it's a no-brainer on how to do it, but I'm trying to think of a way of how we can get that and make it not completely hacky with Total CMS 1. Okay.
Gotcha.
It may be hacky. It may just be, to be honest, I mean, my current implementation idea is allow you to have a CSV file as a text, just a text block in Total CMS. You know what I mean? You know, so you could have this CSV file as a text block in Total CMS. It's not the best, but yeah, that's my current idea. Okay. But I don't know. I'm thinking of better ideas than that. Okay. Okay. So let's go back to this /import. So we're going to do import index, and we're going to publish that. Okay. Import. All right. So here's the import. Here, let's go to HTTPS. So it's all right, and that's finished. Okay, so now here's the import page. Now let's go to TC test. C-test. All right, and it works. Okay, but there's some caveats here. All right, here are the caveats. If you notice, now this page was very simple, but if you notice the JavaScript and CSS files for that page aren't being loaded. Okay, so if I were to add something a little bit more elaborate to that page, okay, here let's add something that would require, let's add a default stack. Here, let's just add this entire thing inside of a background color red box or something. All right. All right. So stupid browser crash, man. All right. So here I have the import page, and if you notice, that has the red background. Okay. Now, if I go to this TC test page, it's empty there. And let's import. You notice there is no red background here. Okay. And the reason for that is because the CSS and JavaScript files aren't being loaded. Okay. And the reason for that they aren't being loaded is because the paths are different. Okay. So if we look at, let's go ahead and how these files get loaded. Okay. You'll see that, where's the files for? Here. Okay. So if we look here, the JavaScript file is getting loaded to index files stacks page 14.js. Okay. Now, if we look at this, we're at TC test. So that means that the web browser would be looking for TC test / index files / this, and that doesn't exist. Does that make sense? Okay, because this path doesn't exist, because those two pages are at different levels of the website. Okay, but there is a fix. Okay, and the fix is a simple meta tag that can be added to the page, and it's actually inside SEO Helper. Actually has it. So if I add this to the page, let's get rid of basics. It is the base. Oh, there, base URL. Okay, and we're just going to say auto detect page URL. And I think if I publish this, I think we should be good. I actually admit I haven't. This has been on my list of things to test, but let's see if this works. I think it should work.
And the best place to test it is on a live.
Exactly, is live. Why not? Boom, and it works. Look at that.
You got
Now we
lucky
have
this time.
TC test, and all the imports work. Score.
Very cool.
Okay. So that is the workaround. If you're doing the import, again, Josh, if you're doing the import and the import is at a different level of the web page, you need to use this base URL meta tag that SEO Helper already has.
I will test and get back to you.
Okay, cool. Okay, that was a whirlwind. That was an interesting one. Okay, so setting up, I kind of skipped some of the setup steps. So setting up traffic control is pretty easy. All you need to do is you need to set the folder and the name to be router.php and the folder is /. Okay. The next step is you need to copy and paste this rule and put it into your htaccess file. And it needs to be the very last setting in your htaccess file. Right? If it's not, then it could break some of your other rules. So you want to make sure that this is the very bottom of your htaccess file. And that's it. Once you have that set up, it should just work. And next is the routes.csv file. I think I have an example of that here. I think I have. I was testing that last night. Oh yeah, I have a routes. So here I have a routes.csv. I don't even remember what's in it. Let's test it out. So here I created a test CSV. Okay. So I created a test CSV route that's going to redirect to sandbox.joker.net/demo. Okay. Now, if you look inside here, that test CSV doesn't exist. Okay. So here, if I go here and do test-CSV, enter. Test-CSV. Oh, well, it redirects. I thought I said redirect to demo. Let's do a new private window. Box. Is it test CSV or CSV? Test CSV. Interesting. What's going on there? Oh, I had the expire set. I forgot. Okay, so here's an interesting one. So the reason it's not working, if you look here, I set the expire date to be July 22nd. And if it expired, then it took us to the home page. Okay, so here, let's go ahead and delete the expire configuration. Save that. Okay, then we'll go to Sandbox, test CSV, and there it goes. Okay. Thought I broke something here. I'm like, what the heck? So just to show you that that expire stuff works, right? So I had set that to be when it expired. You can set the date and the time. Then redirected to the home page, which is exactly what it was doing prior to that. So pretty cool. That just shows you how you can have multiple of these, you know, as many rules as you want inside the CSV file.
Just a question, Joe.
Yeah.
So is that that's very much the same as the PWA manifest. You've got it all listed out nicely.
Yep.
So with that HT access file, if you was to add something else later, would you have to make sure that that's still at the bottom?
Yes. You will want to make sure that this is always at the bottom. Okay. And the reason for that is here, let's go ahead and here, let's go ahead. I'll show you. We'll look at the Weaver Space HT access file.
Actually, on your Weaver Space site where you buy everything, I was watching the thing about doing like dates and the copyright. Yours is still at 2019.
Okay. Thanks.
And I did check it on a few different windows.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of like the shoemaker's problem, right? Where it's like, you know, you make shoes for everybody, but you don't keep up with your own, right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and let's open this HT access file. All right, so here's my HT access file on the sandbox, my sandbox server. Okay, and let's say that this was further up on the page. Now I have some, like, you actually don't need this rewrite engine multiple times, so on and so forth. You actually don't need that either. Okay.
So does that L comma QSA and that one's QSA make a difference?
Yes. Okay. So I was playing around with different rules here. You should use whatever rules I have set up in here. Here, let's go ahead and there we go. Okay. You don't necessarily need that. It doesn't hurt to have it there, but there we go. Okay. So what does this do? Let's say, for example, I had all of this up here. All right. Let's say I had it all up at the top. Okay. What this does, this is essentially a wild card option. And it says, okay, first it does check whether or not the file actually exists on the server. If it does exist, so like an actual web page that you published exists, it will serve that. Okay. Then what it says is, okay, if the file doesn't exist, then take every URL, okay, and send it to router.php. Okay. And then this LQSA that basically says it, if you match this rule, just ignore everything else below it. Ignore all the other rules below it. Okay. So right now, this pretty URL option and this blog post for pretty URL, they'll be broken. So pretty URLs in your website won't work at all any longer. Okay. So now if we make sure that it's at the bottom of the file, like we should, okay, then these rules are going to be, okay, for store product, boom, this is going to work. And then essentially what this LQSA says, okay, you match this rule, let's just stop and L means last. Okay, that's what L means. I forget what QSA stands for. But L means last. So it means if you parse this rule and it matches store product, then it's the last one. Don't process any other rewrite rules. Okay. So, and then here we have blog post, another pretty URL. And again, if this matches, it's the last rule that it should process. And then we go all the way down to the bottom to this one. Okay. So that's why this rule should be at the very bottom, because it is literally a wild card. It will match any URL. Okay. So we want to make sure that all the other possible URLs that we might want to modify for pretty URLs or the manifest or things like that nature, that are specific to very specific things, we want to make sure we match those first before we hit the wild card. Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Okay. Any other questions on that? Any questions on HT access? Anything? Hey, we're a Hangout. We can talk about whatever we want.
I've only broken that once.
So what do you guys think of traffic control? Do you guys see a use case for it for yourselves? Is it something that you think will be vital, or something that's like, if I need the use one day? Just curious. Again, I kind of built it for some myself. I wanted it to manage like affiliate URLs and, you know, quick like expiring of a download or things of that nature. Some things I plan on for the future of traffic control. I've already mentioned I would like to get total CMS, control of the data. I think that would be cool. The next thing I would like to do is add some sort of a little bit of reporting. Okay, so if you notice, I do have expire on visits. So the number of times a route has been visited. Well, in order to do that, I need to keep track of all those routes. So I do keep track of how many times every route has been hit. Okay. So I think reporting on that would be interesting. Okay. At least some sort of simple reporting, right? So that's definitely on the list as well. I think that would be really interesting. Just a quick glance on how many people have visited this route, maybe all time, last 30 days, then the last week or something like that, right? Just a quick, just tables. I don't plan on doing some fancy JavaScript based, graph and charts. I'm just going to keep it simple, right? It's just number of visits per route, for a particular time period. So I definitely feel that should could happen. So
in this situation, you will know how many times Franco has downloaded the file.
Well, I don't know it's Franco because I don't keep track of who it is. I just keep track that the route was visited because of the whole GDPR thing. I don't track IP address or anything like that. It's just this route was visited. That's it. Okay.
When you indicate the number of times that the router can be used, is that collective or is that for a single individual?
So it is collective. It's across all, but what that could mean is if you Franco download it 10 times, then it'll register it 10 times right now. Okay. In order to,
but that means nobody else will be able to download it.
That makes exactly it does. Yeah. Now to get around that, I have thought about, the only way to get around that is to track the IP address with the route. Yeah. That's the only way to do that. And, it's like, and then it's like, well, some people want to do that. Do they not want to do that? It's because then it tracks that. And then it's the whole debate of, is an IP address really you, So I don't know. I haven't decided whether or not I think that would be a good thing to do or not.
No.
Maybe I can make it an option. I don't know.
It's not really necessary because in SiteLock you have already that possibility as well. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The problem with IP addresses might be that people using VPNs.
Oh yeah, 100%.
IP address may change all the time.
It could, yes. So that at that point, multiple people could hit the same IP address. And also, I mean, if you're in an office building, it could be, the same thing where multiple people in the office hit the URL, but if I'm tracking it with the IP, then it can only track it, might only track it as one. So, sometimes you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, right? Sometimes, if you've ever heard that saying. So as for right now, I'm happy with how it is now. It's just, if someone hits a URL multiple times, it could get tracked multiple times. But with that said, Safari does heavy caching, right? I've seen it in my testing where I go to URL and I hit refresh. Well, guess what? All those refreshes never actually went to the browser. So they actually don't get tracked as hits because the browser, it didn't even go to the server, it just refreshed the page, right? Which I thought was quite interesting. Now I have zero control over that. That's just the browser doing its caching thing, But that is an interesting thing where if someone visits that particular URL and then they just refresh the page, it didn't actually register as an additional visit on the server. I thought that was quite interesting.
Just a thought, Joe. From what you said there, I was thinking, so if you had a page where you had a download, you could set up a time thing where it had, say, 20 rather than 10 hits, and then one out of them 20 would get a free download where the others would have to pay. Or not.
So like, every 20th person would get it for free or something like that? Would
that's what I'm
go
saying.
Somewhere else?
Something like that would be possible. Or
that seems a little confusing. I don't know. Not sure about that one. Yeah. Not a bad idea.
Slot machines.
I'll keep it in the back of my mind if anyone else requests it. Oh, ciao.
Also,
no, I just thought from what you said you could do, it would be possible to do it. I just thought it would just come in my head.
Yep. One thing I do think potentially, instead of having just, because right now the visits is total, so it's all time. One thing I think could be interesting is, total number of visits per a time period, right? So if you want to do, this is valid 10 times a week, something like that, I think could be interesting instead of just 10 times, forever, I think that could be interesting. Add a little, expire visits per time period, I think would be an interesting model as well. That's cool. Another idea that I had. So Erwin, I saw you join. Did you test out that? So I had shipped a little update. I sent a beta version of a foundation update to Erwin earlier today for some form stuff. Did you have a chance to test that, Erwin?
Yeah, just before we started with the Zoom meeting, I just tested it and I replied back to you that it works, except for a small detail that I had to hack into it.
Okay.
It was all in lower cost form data, and it made an error because it was looking for form capital D data.
Oh, I had a JavaScript error in there. Oh man, that's my bad.
There was let form data.
Yes.
And it was form data all in lowercase, so I had to change that.
Thanks for catching that. That was stupid, an error of me.
But when I changed it, it works.
Perfect.
It works perfect. Yeah.
I'll ship that later today then.
So now I finally have something to update the database. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. So Erwin was integrating Foundation 6 forms with Datably, correct?
Yep.
Which is a suite of stacks from Barth. Something Barth.
Yeah.
The guy behind Platform. Yeah, there you go. So cool. I'm glad we were able to get that working.
Yeah, there are some limitations with Datably, and because you have to publish first the stack, because then the files are available as the API.
Yes. Cool.
So,
kind of like Total CMS, where you have to publish Total CMS for it to actually work on the site.
Yeah, kind of similar.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah.
Has anyone played with feeds? I'm looking for feedback. I'm crazy interested to see what people are building with feeds and if they're doing anything interesting and stuff like that. Has anyone played with that?
I was thinking of testing that out with something, but I haven't bought it yet. One thing I do want to ask a question, which I tried today, because I've got my head around all the macros in Easy and Total CMS. So in Easy, if you set up a site on Easy CMS, you could just change the core to Total CMS and all those would work, and then you just add the other bits in after, couldn't you? If you wanted to upgrade from Easy to Total.
Yes. So going from Easy CMS to Total CMS is simple.
Just change the core.
Yeah, just change the core out. Yeah. Going the opposite direction is a little more involved.
Because there's a lot less in one than the other.
Exactly.
Because I actually typed everything out into a Pages document because it was too small to see all of it.
Yeah.
all of the CMS, all the macros.
Yeah, going from total CMS to easy CMS, it's not only just the stacks that you would have to potentially swap out, but so if you saved any data from total CMS into the CMS that isn't supported via easy CMS, it won't work until you actually go and delete the total CMS specific data from the CMS data folder.
No, it's only because of the thing I was doing with this forms thing. It's just so I've done it so that they can do from the admin side to whatever. The only thing I've not got working is injecting with CMS into the Ajax post and to Scott's path in the F62 CV, because that doesn't act quick enough before it publishes the CSV file.
Oh, okay.
So I might not be able to do that. I've got everything else working apart from those macros, because I don't think they're working quick enough to produce the thing in the background.
Got it. Scott, with your stack, can you populate any CSV file, or does the CSV file have to be a specific place?
No, any CSV file.
Oh, okay. Cool. So technically, you could maybe even manage these this route CSV file with Scott's tool.
Yeah,
I could. Be...
I use it to publish data store files that are stored.
Oh, there you go. You know, that was actually another thing I was thinking of doing with the CMS integration, was using data store. That's a possibility.
I got a question for Scott. Is the CSV file, are you able to update it, or is it just adding new rows to the file?
No, it just adds a row. It just adds a row. It doesn't, there's no editing capability.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I used feeds in combination with the form and Datably API, and I got that working as well.
Oh,
so
really?
Yeah. So in a kind of way, I'm building a CRUD.
Yeah, and around about, yeah, you are. Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
Datably does have, or it is a CRUD system, but what I found lacking is a separate page where I can design my own form, and not just in a lightbox with everything underneath stacked.
Got it. So yeah, you wanted the ability to customize the form so it's look and feel and all that jazz.
Yeah, just like any other form. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Foundation 6 form. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Cool. I like it. It's very clever.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice that he had an API and we can get it all working together too.
Yeah. With a minor tweak that you just finished earlier this evening. Yeah.
Actually, before I forget, let me go ahead and fix that typo in that data that I sent you, so that I can, or else I will forget. I probably wouldn't, but stuff happens. Anyone else have any other questions that you'd like to help out with today before we hop off? Oh, you guys are easy today.
I gotta go, guys.
See you later, Scott.
Cheers.
Take care, bud.
Let's go.
All right.
All right, cool.
Okay. Can I maybe ask one small question?
Just one? Oh,
yeah,
come on,
just
Sean.
one today.
You're slacking today.
What is the list?
Yeah, I'm embarrassed about my lists now. No, I was having a few issues with the blogs and TCMS blogs during the week or before the weekend, and basically it was I wanted to have two blogs. The first one was obviously standard, and then I followed Scott's advice and started easy, made sure that was working with the pretty URLs in it. Yeah. And then I added the second one, and I was having problems with it. And then I seen that Bob had a question,
Mhm.
that you answered with the dynamic blog setting. So I
Yes.
set that one. It started to work.
Okay.
And-
So
and
what
then
I think, so
I found a solution.
oh, okay.
I've got the solution. I've got it working now.
Okay.
I've got to show off a little bit now, right?
Cool.
So I did get it working, and I
Mhm.
found it was a really simple solution. It was in the ACL, sorry, the HT access
Hmm.
thing was the problem, and I realized that I'd put the code that you say with the copy paste and put in there. I had put that in the first time, put it in the second time, and it was all working. And then, without thinking, I basically tried to combine those two fields.
Hmm.
If you know what I mean. I just basically took the last line of the second one and added it to the second one, which obviously doesn't work.
Got it.
Yeah. But the point I'm making is that basically gave me an error that I could not find anywhere logged. It gave me basically well, I sent it this white screen with text in it that just scared the shit out of me, to be honest.
Yeah.
And,
So yeah, if you have errors in your HT access file, that will just screw up your entire site because
exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
Is it possible to prevent that from not
Don't make
prevent
mistakes
it,
in your
but warn
HT
against
access file.
Yeah, cheers, mate. I love you too. Nice talking to you.
Perfect.
I had one comma in the wrong place and the whole thing shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I appreciate now that you couldn't make it simpler for us. Just copy paste, do what you're told, and it'll work.
Yep.
But I was thinking in the long run, basically, if I've maybe got 4 or 5, maybe even 6 blogs on one site, then I'm going to have those 8 lines of code, or 4 lines of code, I think it's that you actually need, piled on top of each other. Now, my question directly is, what does the dynamic thing actually do on that blog setting where you set it to dynamic?
So in the blog post, setting that to dynamic.
Yeah.
I think, hold on, let me look at the settings really quick. I'm pretty sure that basically means you're on your own, and you can you set your own HT access rules to be whatever you want it to be.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I was thinking of something else. Okay. So let me go back to Dr. Bob. And so Dr. Bob had a issue earlier this week, and that you mentioned, Sean, where he was trying to display on his homepage, he wanted the latest blog post. Okay. Right. So what Bob had done is he added the blog post to his homepage. Now I'm going to assume some things. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bob. I'm assuming that he added the blog post to his homepage. He previewed and submitted the blog post URL. Okay. And at that point, the blog post URL is the homepage. Okay. Now what Bob should have done, and which he's done now, is he needs to set the blog post stack to use a dynamic URL. Okay. And what that does is, normally for a blog post page, we need to pass the blog post via the URL, via that permalink tag. Do you understand? You understand that, right? Now, when you're on the homepage of a website, we don't pass any permalink to the URL. So we need to dynamically figure out what blog post we need to display. That's what those dynamic settings are in the blog post stack. Okay. Let me share. So maybe while we're looking at this, right? So when we add the blog post stack to the page, okay, we have a dynamic post filter. And this, if you'll notice, this is essentially the same kind of filtering we have on the blog list, okay? But this allows you to pick whichever blog post comes up first via this is the one that's going to be displayed. So if we do order newest, display only past posts, featured included, hide drafts, hide archive, essentially this default filter will give you the latest blog post. Okay. So by default, if you set this to be dynamic post, it's then going to use this filter to determine which one blog post is going to be displayed on this page. Does that make sense? Okay. So like, for example, if I wanted to show the latest featured blog post, I could do featured only featured. So this would give me the newest only featured blog post. Right. And if I wanted to do the latest featured by a particular author, I could do Dr. Bob. Okay. And this would give me the latest featured blog post by Dr. Bob. Does that make sense? Okay. So getting back to it. So Bob had set this to be the default blog post. By setting it to dynamic post, he now was getting his latest blog post. Now, after Bob got that done and he, put the pin in on his lapel because he had a victory, right? He went to go ahead and create the normal blog post. He wanted a blog list and the blog post page. And he had created his blog list, but when he was clicking on it, it was going to the completely wrong place.
Right.
And he was like, what the hell's going on? Well, that's because earlier when he was trying to set up the home page, he had saved the blog post URL to be the home page. So it wasn't going to the correct spot. So what he needed to do is on the actual blog post page, he would then resubmit the post URL to be that one. Does that make sense? Okay. So here, let's recreate this super quick, right? So let's go ahead. I'm not going to do all the stacks, but he has a blog. Okay. And let's do one more page. Oops, I don't want a new project. I want a new page. Okay. And this is a blog post page. Okay. So here, let's just do this. I'm not going to add all the stacks to the pages. I'm just so we can see. Okay. So this is essentially, he had home. The home page needs to be set to dynamic because we wanted the latest blog post. And then we have our blog list. And then the blog post. Now this blog post stack, this is going to be like the main blog post page that's going to get linked to from all the various blog posts on the blog list. Okay. Now this blog links, this could actually be on the home page as well. It doesn't matter. Okay. This could be anywhere. Okay. But essentially this is the page that we want all the blog lists to link to. So what you need to do here is this is where you need to submit. You need to preview this page and then submit this one via the I don't have CMS Core on the page. So this is the page where you then would submit this page URL and then everything would work. Does that make sense? Or did I make it more confusing?
I actually followed it, which is disturbing me most, I think.
It's all on the 30-minute blog.
Yeah, because I mean, what kind of threw it in the wrench was this blog post stack on the home page. This isn't your traditional blog post stack that's going to dynamically load in a blog post from a URL. This one's different because it's loading a specific blog post all the time, right? Or not, it's creating a filter and always loading the latest blog post or the oldest blog post or whatever you set these filters to be.
Mm-hmm.
So this particular blog post stack will never get filtered from a blog list, let's say. Hopefully that makes sense.
So, now to kind of changed up a bit, I was talking to Scott, and so it turns out all of these all these blogs that this guy's writing, they're basically all the very same structure, but he classifying them in different ways and stuff.
Yeah.
And so what Scott suggested was, build out my standard blog post page the way it's all going to be viewed, but then go back to the home page and use offsite to load the blog post that I want. Instead,
so you want the latest blog post to always be on the home page, or you want a specific blog post?
I believe I got a meeting with him tomorrow to clarify everything and stuff. But yeah, I believe what's going to happen, he's going to be doing blogs every damn day. And I think that we're just going to want the latest one to show up there. But I'm not 100% certain of that.
Right. If that's what he wants, then I wouldn't do the iframe thing. I would do the blog post with the dynamic, what I was just showed here.
Well,
that's what I would do. Yeah.
But the other thing is that because he's going to have these different categories of writing, what I've been trying to figure out is if we're going to have different sections on his homepage, or whether I'm going to take them. I'm trying to figure out a clean way of being able to sort all these blog postings out, because he's got thousands of articles, and they're short. They're only a paragraph or two, most of them, but there are thousands of them, and it's just going to be overwhelming for anybody coming to the site to try and figure out what it is.
Yep.
So it sounds like he has like 3 main categories or 3 main genres or whatever, so he's 3 main areas. And I was going to suggest that, well, what I'm thinking is that we can we can use that to sort that list out, so that only that category or only that genre or whatever we use, and stuff, that field, that's the only one that's showing. Those are the only ones that are showing, and that'll reduce what's on the actual page. But I'm just still playing with it. I mean, that's what I'm working on this afternoon, and probably Friday I'll have more questions.
Sure. So a couple of things you could do. So let's say at the top of the homepage, maybe you have the latest blog post. And then below that, you can maybe, if he has 3 main categories, maybe you can have a blog list for each category that then has the latest, I don't know, the last 3 for each category, possibly. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. So you could have 3 blog lists for one for each category. Another thing is if you had a blog list page, you can have filters. So you can have like dynamic filters based on category and stuff like that. You can also do that with there's a Total CMS menu stack that will dynamically create menu items for categories or tags or all that stuff as well, right?
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking about doing, having sort of a sidebar where those categories and listing be. And I've sent him a huge spreadsheet with everything that I've done so far on it, and said, we've got to come up with clean names for all of these things that will make sense to everybody.
Sure.
And that's part of what I've got to try to get clarified tomorrow, because that's what I viewed, was that the homepage would basically be a 2-column thing, where the right-hand column or whatever would simply have these things that people could click on then to get them to the specific type of writing that they wanted to read. Whatever, and stuff. But I think there's only going to be 3 major categories. The original website is just super busy. He hates it because nobody can navigate it. It just goes on and on and on, and stuff, for 1,000 miles of listings. It's ridiculous. So we're trying to clean it up at this point. But like I said, over the next few days, that's all I'm going to be working on. And so I'll probably have a lot more questions on Friday when I get down to really doing this.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Sweet. Anything else, guys?
Well, I know you got carried. I did ask, I was speaking to Scott on, you know, he updated his F6 stack thing through the CSVs with a little slider on it. But I asked him a question. He said it was asked of you a while ago, and it might be on your list to do.
Which one?
In the forms, you've got the date picker. So if I had a start, you know, like you see on a site where you book a hotel, start date this, end date this. Obviously, that's taking like Monday. If it was Monday to Friday, it's taking that as 5, isn't it? So it's 5 times whatever the cost is.
Yes.
I want to do something similar, but it's for a timesheet on a form. I'm doing a timesheet for a guy for his employees. So, and he wanted to pick, or say, if they work Monday to Thursday, that's 4 times the hours, etc.
So I'm sure what you're looking for, what feature you need me to add. I'm
right. Well, no, I'm just saying, if you have a date picker, and if I pick Monday, and then if that's the start date, and then another date picker, which is the end date, and say that's Friday, that would come to 5. If it was Thursday, it would be 4, wouldn't it? Because it's the amount of days.
Yes.
Which could then be used by Pi to do the calculation.
Okay, so Pi has some date functions built in, and you should be able to figure out the number of days in between 2 dates with those date functions in a form. Yeah, all dynamically. You should be able to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. So look at the example. There are examples for the date library, and I think one of the examples is the difference between two different dates. I'm pretty sure that's an example in there. So I'll have a look at those.
Okay. I'll have a look at that then, because I want to play with more calculations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. Just here. I closed Rapid. Yeah, I've got the Pi demo on the desktop. Not sure why I closed it. Shouldn't have done that. Whatever.
Bye, everybody.
Oh, take care, Willie. Thank you.
No load shedding.
Bye-bye.
No load shedding on Ferrari. We'll see you.
All right. So if we add Pi, and then we do load external libraries, and you can add the date functions. And I thought I had a cheat sheet. Where is that? Oh, show cheat sheet. There we go. Oh, that's not formatted very well, is it? I'll have to.
I'll put that in a text editor and read it.
Yeah.
Oh, even that one, yeah. Right. Math comment.
All right, so let's see. So that's date, time, math.
You know where to do that, didn't you?
Yeah. All right, so this is, so we add 1 day and we format it. Okay, so then we have this date, add 24 hours. Oh, here is moment duration in days. So here we have, so here we have moment.duration, and then we do the to date, and then do a difference from a from date as days. This is exactly what you need right there.
Right.
There we go. So you would change the to date and the from date, and that will give you the difference in days.
And as an output.
As an output, exactly.
Oh, can you just put that in the chat? Save me trying to format all that.
Sure,
and find
will
it
do.
in Pi.
Will do.
That will save me a bit of time, and I'll have a play with that. Well, I'll be a little drunk tomorrow because it's my birthday, but I'll play with it Friday.
Oh, happy birthday. Awesome.
I'm sure I'm older than you, though.
I don't know. I'll be 42 next week, actually.
I'm 57 tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
So Joe, the state stuff, that brings up a thought, something else that's going to come up with this guy. He's going to be doing this writing every day. He's got his new thing he's doing where he's putting out this writing every day. So, and he's going to give me all this stuff weeks in advance. So he's going to try and stay, a couple weeks ahead of his writing. So every day, or at least it's going to be Monday through Friday. There would be a new thing published Monday through Friday.
Okay.
So the thing I have in my head is that I enter all of these that it gives me as blog entries, and I set the date of the blog to the date that's supposed to show. Okay.
Yes.
And then what I've got to do is have something in there. I wasn't sure I hadn't looked at it, what I was going to use yet, but then I have to have something that will then say, okay, then on this date, here's the blog that shows.
Yeah. So, by default, it is set to show all past entries. So if you future date a blog post, that blog post will not show until that date comes.
Right.
Right. And the same thing for the dynamic post, because so the latest blog post, if you future date something, by default, no future dated things will be displayed at all.
Right.
Yeah.
So this one entry that right now I'm showing, because I clicked the featured button.
Yep.
On it. But I don't want to be doing that. I'm thinking that these things will take over what is showing right now that I'm showing with this featured thing. I'm just not sure. I got to talk to them tomorrow, but
okay.
So if I just have a whole bunch, if I got 365 blogs in there that are all future dated, then do I have to use some other stack, to get them displayed, or is it just simply?
Total CMS does it all.
I only want the one blog showing. And so all I'm going to do is that when that date comes up, that one's automatically going to show as long as I've got it set to.
Correct. That's exactly how Total CMS works.
Okay. I'll play with that. So I could throw some dummy things into some data and see what happens. Okay. Yeah. I just don't want to have to go in there and do anything other than just enter the blog and set the date and be done with it.
Yep. Exactly. Sweet. Well, guys.
Cool. All right, man.
Sorry about the all the chaos at the beginning of the Hangout. That was I've been thinking about it. I know exactly why it happened. I posted the word when I tweeted it. I said I'm going live on Zoom. And I'm pretty sure, even though the Zoom link wasn't in Twitter, I linked to the community post. But I think just mentioning that I was doing something on Zoom in a tweet caused all those people to figure out the URL. So lesson learned. Last time this happened, I posted the Zoom link directly. Now this time I didn't post the Zoom link, but I just mentioned that the Zoom. And so I will never do that again. Never mention Zoom on Twitter.
We need to come up with a safe word.
Jesus.
Should ask Davide for his.
Yeah.
I'm going live with chocolate chip cookies.
Just one thing, because I know you've been going a while. With the feeds, the standard feeds, would that be able to say? Because I'm doing something with Scott's F6 to CSV, which outputs to Gridiron. I can never get the right way around,
Yep.
So would I be able to have feeds show that iron grid spreadsheet?
Will feeds show it? So feeds won't, I don't think feeds will integrate with iron grid. But I mean, iron grid can connect to a database, can't it? Or
Oh
no?
yeah, it can connect to most things. Yeah, because I just connected to the CSV file, and then it all
To the
appears,
CSV
everything
file.
that-
Okay, yeah.
So basically,
I mean,
I've got it connected to a CSV file, and then it just prints it out. So
Yes.
you know, when you add it to the form.
Yep. Yeah. So iron grid would connect to the CSV file, and then that would display your table. But then you if you wanted to display some other type of layout with that same data, you would do that outside of gridiron. At least I don't know of how you would integrate it within the table. I don't see a use case for that.
You know, so your power grid, would it sort of show that?
It would be this. It's the same thing
Same
as
principle,
gridiron. It would. You could point that to a CSV file, and then it will display a table of that data. But you can't necessarily, have the power of feeds inside of that. It's kind of an either or. Either you display it with power grid or gridiron, or you use feeds. You can't.
Feeds will show it
both.
as a line of information.
You could, you could do that, right? I mean, you could build something that like a column layout, as long as you don't have too much data, you could build something that looks like a table that just uses columns, right? Kind of like in the demo, I have that menu. The menu, that's kind of like a sort of like a table. It doesn't have any of the borders around everything, but you could create some sort of table-like data structure with feeds, but it wouldn't be it wouldn't be a table, if that makes sense.
No. Yeah. I should, just thinking of other ways to do something that I'm using this other thing that you showed me how to do.
Yeah.
Just out of the box.
Yep. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that's annoying about tables, okay, is tables they're not very well responsive. Like going from, especially if you have a lot of data and that data doesn't fit well on a mobile screen. If you were to use something like a block grid or something like that, you can make it so that each record takes up multiple lines, right? That way. So you have a lot more flexibility with the layout if you use a block grid versus a table, right? And then you could still like do some sort of thing where, every other one is styled, the background is gray and then white and then gray and then white. So that even though they're on, 2 or maybe even more rows, you could still see the individual records by the style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Lots to think about.
Yeah. So cool. Anything else, guys? Okay. Sweet. Great.
No.
Perfect.
Thanks very much, Joe.
Thanks for all your help, everyone. I appreciate it. Everybody else?
You're welcome. Thank you.
No problem.
And,
it's been very helpful this evening.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it's been great.
Everyone have a great night. Hopefully we'll see some of you guys on Friday.